Hey guys, tonight we wake up in the heart of the Roman Empire, not as a mighty emperor, a fearless gladiator, or even a famous general, but as one of the empire's quietest heroes, an imperial messenger. Your job is simple in theory: deliver a sealed message across hundreds of miles before someone important gets impatient. Easy, right? Well, you probably won't survive this if you forget your horse, lose the emperor's letter, or accidentally stop for a 3-hour lunch at every roadside bakery. Roman officials were surprisingly serious about punctuality. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're settling in, let me know your location and the local time where you're listening from. It's always fascinating seeing how far these sleepy journeys travel. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You wake before sunrise, not because you chose to, because somewhere outside, a bronze bell echoes through the courtyard. Its deep tone rolls across the quiet buildings of the courier station, stirring every messenger from sleep. You slowly open your eyes. The straw mattress beneath you rustles softly. A thick wool blanket still holds the warmth of the night, but the chilly morning air quickly convinces you that staying in bed is not an option. Above your head, sturdy wooden beams disappear into the shadows. A tiny oil lamp flickers near the doorway, casting gentle pools of amber light across the room. You stretch carefully. Yesterday's ride has left your shoulders pleasantly sore. Apparently the Roman Empire is quite large. Who could have guessed? Around you, several other imperial messengers are already awake. One quietly folds his blanket with practiced precision. Another pulls on heavy leather boots. Someone yawns so dramatically that even the stable horse outside seems mildly offended. Nobody talks very much. Morning begins with routine. Always routine. You sit upright and reach for your simple wool tunic hanging beside the bed. It smells faintly of horse, leather, dust, and olive oil. Not exactly a luxury perfume, but after enough days on Roman roads, those scents begin to feel strangely comforting. You dress quickly. A leather belt wraps securely around your waist. Over your shoulders goes a sturdy traveling cloak, dyed a muted reddish brown. Its purpose is simple: keep out rain, block cold wind, collect remarkable amounts of road dust. Mission accomplished. Outside, dawn slowly paints the eastern sky in pale shades of gold and lavender. The courtyard is already alive. Stable boys brush horses. A blacksmith taps gently against an iron horseshoe. Kitchen workers carry steaming pots toward a long wooden table. Smoke rises lazily from the bakery nearby. The smell reaches you immediately: fresh bread, warm barley porridge, perhaps a little goat cheese. Suddenly your stomach remembers that dinner happened quite a long time ago. Breakfast inside the courier station is wonderfully uncomplicated. A chunk of coarse bread, a bowl of warm barley porridge, a few olives, fresh figs when the season is kind, and cool water drawn from the courtyard well. No extravagant feast, just enough to keep riders moving. You eat beside several experienced couriers. Their faces tell stories long before they speak. Sun-darkened skin, wind-worn cheeks, tiny white scars earned from branches, falls, and countless miles beneath open skies. One older rider notices you studying a large map hanging upon the wall. He smiles. First long assignment? You nod. He tears off another piece of bread. The roads are easier than the waiting. You blink. Waiting? He explains quietly. A messenger rides hard, delivers quickly, then often waits hours, sometimes days, for the reply. Movement becomes easy, patience becomes difficult. You tuck that lesson quietly into your memory. Across the room, the station master enters. Conversation stops almost instantly. He carries a polished wooden box secured with bronze fittings. Every messenger recognizes it immediately. Official dispatches. The room suddenly feels smaller, more important. The station master places the box upon the table. One by one, he removes tightly rolled scrolls. Each bears a wax seal impressed with the imperial emblem. Nobody touches them. Not yet. Names are called calmly. Assignments given, routes explained, distances measured. Finally, your name. You stand, trying very hard to appear confident, trying slightly harder not to trip over the bench. The station master studies you for a long moment, then hands you a single leather dispatch tube. The scroll inside feels surprisingly light, yet somehow incredibly important. You are not expected to read it. In fact, you must never read it. The seal remains untouched from beginning to end. Your duty is not knowledge. Your duty is trust. He points toward a map spread across the table. Your finger follows the route. South along the Great Roman Road. Across 2 rivers. Through 3 posting stations. Past several villages. Finally, a provincial administrative office nearly 100 miles away. Far enough to feel exciting. Close enough to finish within 2 days if everything goes well. Of course, everything rarely goes exactly as planned. The station master offers only a few final instructions. Protect the message. Care for the horse. Never abandon the road without reason. Trust official posting stations. Avoid unnecessary delays. Simple rules. Easy to remember, much harder to follow. Outside, your assigned horse waits patiently beneath the stable roof. A handsome bay gelding with alert ears and remarkably calm eyes. His name, you're told, is Castor. You approach slowly. He watches you with polite curiosity, then immediately resumes concentrating on what appears to be a fascinating pile of hay. Clearly, professionalism exists on both sides of the partnership. A stable boy checks the saddle straps. Another secures a small leather pack behind the seat. Inside are your essentials. A water skin, dry bread, a little smoked meat, a wool blanket, a tiny oil lamp. Simple medical supplies. Nothing unnecessary. Every extra pound slows the journey. Before mounting, the station master walks over one final time. He places his hand briefly upon the leather dispatch tube hanging from your shoulder. This reaches before sunset tomorrow. Not a question. An expectation. You nod. No grand speeches follow. No dramatic farewell. Roman efficiency rarely wastes words. You place one boot into the stirrup. Swing smoothly into the saddle. At least, mostly smoothly. The horse forgives your slightly awkward landing with admirable patience. The great wooden gate begins opening. Its heavy hinges groan softly. Morning sunlight spills across the stone road beyond. Already travelers move through the countryside. Merchants with wagons, farmers leading donkeys, soldiers marching in neat formation, pilgrims walking quietly. The empire is awake. And now, so are you. You gently squeeze your heels. Castor begins walking. Hooves strike ancient stone. Clip, clop, clip, clop. The sounds settle into an almost sleepy rhythm. Behind you, the courier station slowly grows smaller. Ahead, the vast Roman Empire stretches farther than your eyes can follow. Every mile carries another story. Another village. Another bridge. Another waiting recipient who has no idea you're already on your way. The cool morning breeze brushes gently against your face. Your cloak shifts softly behind you. The sealed scroll rests securely at your side, untouched, protected, important. For the first time, you truly feel like part of something enormous. Not an emperor, not a senator, not a conquering general. Simply a messenger, one quiet rider whose steady journey helps hold together an empire stretching across continents. And as the rising sun warms the famous Roman road beneath your horse's steady hooves, your first official mission has finally begun. The rising sun settles comfortably above the horizon as the courier station slowly disappears behind you. Its tiled roofs become smaller. The stable yard fades into the distance. Soon, only the long Roman road remains beneath your horse's steady hooves. Clip, clop, clip, clop. The rhythm quickly becomes familiar. You suspect that after enough miles, a Roman messenger could probably identify different roads simply by the sound their horse makes while crossing them. Castor seems to know exactly where he is going. You gently hold the reins, but he follows the center of the stone road with quiet confidence. This is not his first journey. Far from it. He has carried messages through rainstorms, summer heat, chilly mornings, and perhaps a few very confused riders who accidentally pointed him toward the wrong village. Fortunately, today you appear to be facing the correct direction. That already feels like a promising start. The Roman road beneath you is unlike anything you have ever imagined. Large, tightly fitted stone blocks stretch toward the horizon with remarkable precision. Small ditches run along each side, carrying away rainwater before it can damage the roadway. The surface remains surprisingly smooth, not perfectly smooth. Your back politely reminds you that ancient engineering still contains a few enthusiastic bumps, but compared with muddy village paths, this feels almost luxurious. After an hour of riding, the station master's morning instructions begin replaying inside your thoughts. Care for the horse. Protect the dispatch. Trust the road. Simple advice, yet every mile reveals another reason behind each rule. Castor's ears twitch constantly. He notices birds before you do. He smells streams hidden behind hills. He slows naturally whenever the stones become slightly uneven. You begin realizing that your horse is not merely transportation. He is your partner, perhaps even your most experienced teacher. Near the roadside stands your first milestone. A tall cylinder of pale stone rises from the earth. Beautiful Latin letters have been carved into its polished surface. The inscription proudly announces the distance to the next important town. You ride slowly beside it. The empire measures everything: roads, distances, time, even information itself. Without these milestones, journeys would become guesses. With them, every traveler understands exactly where they stand. You quietly appreciate whoever had the exhausting job of placing enormous stones every few miles. Hopefully they received extra bread. The countryside gradually awakens around you. Farmers guide oxen across freshly plowed fields. Women gather herbs near small cottages. Children chase chickens with extraordinary enthusiasm, despite having very little chance of catching one. Life unfolds peacefully. Most travelers step politely aside as they notice the leather dispatch tube hanging from your shoulder. Official messengers receive respect, not because of wealth, not because of fame, because the sealed scroll you carry belongs to Rome itself. No one knows exactly what message hides inside. Perhaps military orders, perhaps tax records, perhaps instructions concerning grain shipments. The mystery remains sealed beneath wax, exactly as it should. By mid-morning, the sun begins warming the road. You loosen your cloak slightly. Castor settles into an easy pace. Fast enough to make good time. Slow enough to preserve his strength. A careless rider pushes too hard during the morning. A wise courier arrives before sunset. Patience, once again, proves surprisingly useful. Ahead you notice another traveler approaching. An elderly merchant leads two heavily loaded mules. Bundles of cloth hang across their backs. Small bronze bells tied to the harnesses create a gentle chiming sound with every step. As you pass, he raises one hand. Messenger. You nod politely. Safe roads. The greeting is brief. Roman roads connect strangers almost as effectively as they connect cities. Not long afterward, the countryside changes. Olive groves begin replacing open fields. Rows upon rows of silver-green leaves shimmer softly beneath the morning breeze. Workers climb ladders, tending ancient trees whose twisted trunks seem almost older than memory itself. Nearby, vineyards spread across gentle hillsides. Carefully arranged rows stretch toward the horizon. Some workers sing quietly while trimming vines. The melody drifts peacefully through the warm air. Even after thousands of years, vineyards seem to encourage singing. You cross your first stone bridge shortly before noon. It spans a narrow river flowing calmly beneath graceful arches. The craftsmanship impresses you immediately. Massive stone blocks fit together so perfectly that the bridge appears almost part of the landscape itself. Water slips quietly below. Several fishermen stand along the riverbank. One glances upward as you cross, then returns his attention to the fish. Clearly, fish refuse to pause simply because the Roman postal service is having an efficient morning. On the opposite side of the bridge waits a small roadside shrine, a simple stone altar decorated with fresh flowers. Travelers pause briefly. Some whisper quiet prayers. Others simply touch the weathered stone before continuing. Even experienced couriers appreciate a little extra good fortune. You pause only for a moment, not because regulations demand it, because long journeys inspire quiet reflection. Soon afterward, the road climbs gently into rolling hills. The breeze grows cooler. Pine trees begin appearing beside the highway. Their scent mixes pleasantly with warm dust rising beneath Castor's hooves. The landscape feels calmer now, more secluded. Only occasional travelers appear. A pair of soldiers marches steadily north. A shepherd guides sheep across distant slopes. Far above, an eagle circles lazily against the blue sky. The empire suddenly feels enormous. Not because of maps, because you are riding through it 1 mile at a time. By early afternoon, both you and Castor deserve a short rest. Near the roadside stands a shaded watering place built specifically for travelers. A stone trough receives cool water flowing continuously from a nearby spring. You dismount carefully. Castor lowers his head gratefully into the water. Long, satisfied drinks echo softly. You remove his saddle just enough to allow his back to cool. The station master had warned you. A healthy horse finishes the journey. You finally understand. You share your own simple lunch. Coarse bread, smoked meat, a handful of dried figs, nothing extravagant. Yet after several hours riding beneath the Roman sun, it tastes surprisingly wonderful. You sit beneath a spreading oak tree. The leaves whisper gently overhead. Somewhere nearby, cicadas sing their endless afternoon chorus. The sound blends beautifully with the trickling spring. For several peaceful minutes, there is nowhere else you need to be. Eventually, another Imperial courier arrives from the opposite direction. His horse carries the familiar leather dispatch tube. He smiles. Busy road today. You both laugh quietly. Couriers rarely stop long enough for lengthy conversations. Schedules rule your lives. Still, he offers one useful piece of advice. The Western Bridge is under repair next week. A tiny detail. Yet such knowledge may someday save hours. Information travels in many forms, not only inside sealed scrolls. After tightening Castor's saddle once more, you continue onward. The road stretches confidently toward distant hills. Every milestone now feels less intimidating. Every mile adds another layer of confidence. You no longer grip the reins quite so tightly. Your posture relaxes. The rhythm of the journey settles naturally into your breathing. Clip, clop, clip, clop. Ahead, far in the distance, a tall watchtower rises beside the road. Its silhouette stands proudly against the afternoon sky. Near it, colorful banners flutter gently in the breeze. The first Imperial posting station of your journey awaits. Fresh horses, fresh water, perhaps another bowl of warm porridge, if fortune smiles kindly upon hungry messengers. And somewhere beyond those welcoming walls, the next chapter of your long Roman ride quietly begins. The posting station grows larger with every steady hoofbeat. At first, it appears to be little more than a cluster of tiled roofs standing beside the great Roman road. But as you draw closer, details slowly emerge from the afternoon haze. A sturdy stone wall surrounds the compound. Fresh horses graze inside fenced paddocks. Smoke curls lazily upward from the kitchen chimney. A tall wooden watchtower overlooks both the road and the surrounding countryside, its sentry calmly observing travelers passing below. Castor lifts his ears. Even he seems to recognize the familiar place. Without much encouragement, he quickens his pace slightly. Apparently, Roman horses know exactly where fresh water and a comfortable stable can be found. You certainly cannot blame him. A stable boy notices your arrival long before you reach the gate. He raises one hand in greeting. The leather dispatch tube hanging from your shoulder immediately tells him everything he needs to know. No questions, no delays. Imperial business moves quickly. The heavy wooden gate swings open. Inside, the station feels wonderfully organized. Everything has its proper place. Rows of clean stalls, stacks of fresh hay, water troughs carved from smooth stone, a small forge where a blacksmith quietly reshapes worn horseshoes. Nearby, a wheelwright repairs a wagon axle with patient precision. Every craft supports another. Every worker helps keep the empire moving. You dismount carefully. The stable boy steps forward. I'll take Castor. You hesitate, only for a moment. The station master back home had given clear instructions. Trust official posting stations. So you gently pat Castor's neck before handing over the reins. He seems completely unconcerned. Within seconds, he is already enjoying another generous pile of hay. Professional travelers know when to relax. You could probably learn from him. Inside the main building, cool stone walls provide welcome relief from the afternoon warmth. Maps decorate one wall. Shelves hold neatly rolled scrolls waiting for other couriers. A bronze sundial stands in the open courtyard, quietly measuring the passing hours. Time matters here. Every arrival, every departure, every relay. The station clerk sits behind a sturdy wooden desk. His reed pen scratches softly across a wax tablet. When you present your leather dispatch tube, he nods politely. Origin? You tell him. Destination? You answer. He records both without looking surprised. To him, every messenger is simply another thread woven into the Empire's vast network. He reaches for a wooden seal. With one practice motion, he presses fresh wax onto your travel document. Arrival officially recorded. Efficiency has a satisfying rhythm. Nearby, another courier is preparing to leave in the opposite direction. His horse is already saddled, his water skin freshly filled. A stable worker tightens the final buckle. Within moments, he disappears through the gate in a cloud of fine dust. No dramatic farewell, just another message continuing its endless journey. You begin appreciating how enormous this communication system truly is. Thousands of riders, hundreds of stations, countless roads stretching across mountains, rivers, forests, and coastlines. Most people will never meet these couriers, yet nearly everyone depends upon them. The kitchen offers travelers a simple midday meal. Warm lentil stew, fresh bread still carrying the comforting scent of the oven. Goat cheese, a handful of dried dates. You settle onto a wooden bench beside two merchants, discussing olive harvests farther south. One insists this year's crop will be excellent. The other predicts early rains. Neither appears willing to surrender the argument. Fortunately, your lunch remains completely uninvolved. The cook refills your bowl without being asked. Perhaps she has noticed the road dust covering nearly every inch of your cloak. Or perhaps Roman cooks simply understand that hungry travelers rarely complain about extra stew. Either explanation seems reasonable. After eating, you wander quietly into the stable yard. Castor stands peacefully beneath the shade of a large fig tree. A groom brushes dust from his coat using long, steady strokes. The horse closes one eye contentedly. If horses could smile, you suspect this would be the moment. The groom notices you watching. He'll carry you farther if you let him rest. Another simple lesson. Another reminder that haste often steals tomorrow's strength. Not every courier continues riding the same horse. Some stations provide fresh mounts, allowing messages to travel even faster. Today's route, however, allows Castor to continue. He seems pleased by that decision. Or perhaps merely pleased that someone keeps bringing him water. Nearby, you discover a large map carved directly into a polished stone slab. Instead of painted ink that might fade, every major Roman road has been carefully etched into the surface. Cities appear as tiny circles. Roads branch outward like rivers. Looking at it feels almost overwhelming. You trace one finger lightly across the carved lines. Rome, Gaul, Hispania, Greece, Asia Minor, Egypt. The empire stretches farther than your imagination comfortably reaches. And every one of those roads carries riders much like you. For a brief moment, you feel remarkably small, yet strangely important at the same time. Outside the station walls, a wagon slowly approaches. Its wheels creak beneath heavy barrels of wine. The driver waves cheerfully toward the stable workers. Everyone here recognizes familiar faces. Roads create communities of their own. Not permanent neighbors. Traveling neighbors. A young apprentice blacksmith invites you closer to the forge. He proudly displays a newly forged horseshoe, glowing faintly orange. His master quickly reminds him not to hand glowing iron directly to visitors. A useful safety lesson. Probably learned the memorable way. The smell of hot metal mixes with coal smoke and fresh cut hay. It somehow feels perfectly suited to a roadside station. Movement, maintenance, preparation. Nothing here stands still for very long. The afternoon shadows begin stretching across the courtyard. Your scheduled departure approaches. The station clerk calls your name. Fresh water. Travel papers checked. Dispatch seal inspected. Everything remains exactly as it should. He hands you a small wooden token, marked with the station's official symbol. Proof of your stop. Proof that the Imperial network continues functioning precisely as intended. You tuck it carefully into your pouch. Small objects often carry surprisingly great importance. Outside, Castor is ready once again. His coat gleams after brushing. His saddle has been tightened. The water skin hanging beside it feels pleasantly cool. The stable boy gives his neck one final pat before stepping back. He knows the road. You smile. So do I. Well, you hope you do. Mounting feels noticeably easier this time. Already your movements have become smoother. The saddle no longer feels unfamiliar. The reins settle naturally into your hands. Confidence grows quietly, 1 mile at a time. The gate opens once more. Late afternoon sunlight pours across the famous Roman highway. The stones seem almost golden beneath the lowering sun. Ahead, the road continues between gentle hills lined with cypress trees. Somewhere beyond those distant ridges waits another station. Another town. Another official patiently expecting the scroll secured safely at your side. You give Castor a gentle signal. He steps confidently onto the road. Clip, clop, clip, clop. The sounds blend once again with bird song, warm breezes, and the endless whisper of travelers crossing one of history's greatest road systems. Behind you, the posting station resumes its quiet rhythm. Another messenger will arrive. Another will depart. The Empire never truly sleeps. It simply keeps passing messages from one careful pair of hands to the next. The afternoon sun hangs comfortably in the sky as you leave the posting station behind. The fresh water in your water skin feels pleasantly cool against your side. Castor's coat gleams after his careful brushing, and his pace feels lighter than it did only an hour ago. A rested horse carries not only a rider, but also confidence. The Roman road stretches ahead in a nearly perfect line. Its builders seem to believe that if a hill stood in the way, the road should politely climb it rather than wander around it. As a result, you find yourself riding steadily upward. Nothing too steep, just enough to remind your legs that gravity enjoys participating in long journeys. Tall cypress trees stand like silent guards along portions of the highway. Their narrow, dark shapes sway gently in the warm breeze. Between them, fields shimmer beneath the afternoon light. Shepherds guide flocks across distant hillsides, while the faint ringing of sheep bells drifts softly toward the road. The rhythm feels peaceful, almost hypnotic. Clip, clop, clip, clop. The steady sound of Castor's hooves becomes your traveling companion. After another mile, you notice movement ahead. Several riders approach from the opposite direction. Not merchants, not soldiers. Their leather dispatch tubes identify them immediately. Fellow Imperial couriers. As they draw closer, each raises a hand in greeting. No one stops. There is rarely time, yet those brief gestures carry quiet understanding. Each rider knows the same routines, the same early mornings, the same endless roads, the same responsibility of carrying messages that must never be lost. For a few moments you wonder what news rides inside their sealed tubes. Perhaps messages from distant frontiers, perhaps tax reports, perhaps letters announcing the appointment of a new governor. The Empire breathes through information, and these riders are its heartbeat. Soon, the road begins descending into a wide valley. A small town rests below. Red clay rooftops cluster around a modest forum. Thin streams of smoke rise from bakeries. Children run beside narrow streets. Several donkeys patiently wait outside workshops, displaying the remarkable ability to look both busy and completely uninterested at the same time. Before entering the town, you pass another milestone. This one announces the distance to the next relay station. Only a few more miles. Excellent. The timing appears almost perfect. The Imperial courier network operates through carefully planned intervals. Stations stand close enough that horses can rest before becoming exhausted. Fresh animals remain available whenever longer journeys demand greater speed. It is a remarkably efficient system, one that future generations will admire for centuries. The town itself feels lively without becoming overwhelming. A potter shapes fresh clay beneath a shaded awning. A baker removes warm loaves from a stone oven. The wonderful aroma follows you down the street with surprising determination. You briefly consider whether delivering the Emperor's message slightly later in exchange for another loaf of fresh bread would be acceptable. The answer, unfortunately, is probably no. Duty wins. Fresh bread must wait. People notice the leather dispatch tube immediately. A few step politely aside. Others simply nod respectfully. Official business always receives room to pass. You guide Castor carefully between market stalls displaying colorful vegetables, woven baskets, bronze lamps, and carefully folded cloth. Life continues peacefully around you. A blacksmith's hammer rings softly somewhere nearby. The fountain in the town square splashes gently into a carved stone basin. Pigeons argue enthusiastically over scattered grain. Apparently, even Roman pigeons enjoy unnecessary debates. At the far side of town, a stone arch marks the beginning of another long stretch of highway. Beyond it waits your next destination, the relay station. As the buildings slowly fade behind you, the countryside opens once again. Rolling fields stretch toward distant forests. Wildflowers dance beside the road. Butterflies drift lazily between patches of purple lavender. The afternoon breeze carries their fragrance across the open fields. It feels impossible to hurry through such peaceful scenery. Yet your mission quietly reminds you otherwise. Time continues moving. So must you. Before long, the relay station comes into view. Unlike the larger posting station where you rested earlier, this one exists for speed. Everything about it is designed to keep messages moving. Fresh horses stand already saddled. Stable workers wait attentively. Officials prepare travel records before riders even dismount. As you approach the entrance, one attendant immediately steps forward. "Courier?" You nod. Without another word, he reaches for Castor's reins. Another worker checks the leather dispatch tube to confirm the Imperial seal remains perfectly intact. A clerk records your arrival on another wax tablet. Every movement feels practiced, efficient, smooth. Like watching the gears inside a finely built clock. Castor receives cool water immediately. Another groom begins loosening his saddle. Meanwhile, a different horse waits nearby, a beautiful gray mare with bright eyes and endless energy. She stamps one hoof impatiently against the ground. Clearly, she has been hoping someone would finally choose her for today's adventure. The station master approaches for the next section. He gestures toward the gray horse. Long-distance couriers rarely ride one horse from beginning to end. Instead, fresh mounts allow messages to travel extraordinary distances with remarkable speed. You understand. Castor has done his part. Now another partner continues the journey. Before changing horses, you gently stroke Castor's neck. He nudges your shoulder once, perhaps asking for another apple, or perhaps simply saying goodbye. Either interpretation feels comforting. The stable boy smiles knowingly. He'll be ready for another rider tomorrow. You realize this entire system depends upon countless people working quietly behind the scenes. Stable workers, blacksmiths, road builders, station clerks, cooks. Without them, the messenger goes nowhere. You transfer your saddlebag to the gray mare. Her name, according to the stable boy, is Luna. She seems eager to begin before you've even finished adjusting the saddle. Some horses possess remarkable patience. Others appear convinced every journey is a race. Luna clearly belongs to the second group. The station clerk inspects your dispatch one final time. The wax seal remains flawless, exactly as required. He hands you a fresh travel token bearing the symbol of this relay station, another small piece in the enormous machinery of Roman communication. You tuck it safely beside the first. Mounting Luna feels different. She stands taller than Castor. Her movements feel lighter, almost spring-like. As soon as you settle into the saddle, she flicks her ears backward briefly, checking whether you're ready. You gently gather the reins. The gate swings open. Without needing much encouragement, Luna steps confidently onto the road. Then, almost immediately, she settles into a wonderfully smooth trot. The difference surprises you. Every horse truly has its own personality. Behind you, Castor disappears into the stable yard, where fresh hay and a well-earned evening await. Ahead, Luna carries you toward new miles beneath the warm Roman sun. The relay station quickly fades into the distance, yet its quiet efficiency stays with you. Messages move swiftly, not because one rider travels endlessly, but because thousands of ordinary people each perform one small task with remarkable care. Together they create something extraordinary. And somewhere beyond the next gentle rise, another road, another station, another waiting recipient. The Empire keeps speaking, one messenger at a time. The gray mare wastes no time. The moment the relay station disappears behind you, Luna settles into a smooth, energetic rhythm that feels entirely different from Castor's steady confidence. Her stride is lighter, quicker, almost as though she considers every mile an enjoyable challenge rather than another task to complete. You quickly discover that riding a fresh horse requires its own adjustment. Your hands settle more gently upon the reins. Your posture changes slightly. Every horse, much like every person, has its own quiet personality. Luna enjoys moving. She seems happiest when the road stretches endlessly ahead. The Roman highway begins climbing toward higher ground. The gentle hills of the afternoon slowly transform into rugged slopes dotted with tall pines and weathered limestone cliffs. The air cools pleasantly. A faint scent of pine resin replaces the warm fragrance of lavender fields behind you. Somewhere high above, a hawk circles effortlessly on rising currents of air. The world suddenly feels quieter. Far below, the countryside spreads across the landscape like a painted map. Tiny farms, narrow streams, small villages. From this height, the Empire seems peaceful beyond imagination. It is easy to forget how much effort keeps such a vast world connected. The road itself remains astonishingly well built. Large paving stones continue climbing the mountainside in careful layers. Low stone retaining walls prevent the hillside from slipping. Drainage channels guide rainwater safely away. You cannot help admiring the engineers who planned this route centuries ago. Building roads across flat fields is difficult enough. Building them across mountains feels almost impossible. Yet here you are, riding comfortably across work, completed by hands you will never know. As the climb continues, you pass several laborers repairing a section of roadside wall. Large wicker baskets hold fresh stones. Iron tools ring softly against rock. One worker pauses long enough to wave politely before returning to his task. Roads never truly finish being built. They simply continue being cared for. A well-maintained road is much like a healthy friendship. Ignore it for too long, and eventually it becomes rather difficult to travel. The afternoon breeze strengthens as you approach the first mountain pass. It whistles gently between rocky outcrops. Small wildflowers somehow find places to bloom between cracks in the stone. Nature appears remarkably determined. Even in the harshest places, something chooses to grow. You round a gentle bend. Ahead, the road narrows briefly between towering cliffs. The sunlight shifts. Cool shadows stretch across the pavement. Your horse's hoofbeats echo softly against the stone walls. Clip, clop, clip, clop. For several peaceful moments, the sound becomes almost musical. You notice small carved symbols on certain rocks beside the highway. Nothing elaborate. Simple marks left by stonemasons long ago. Perhaps signatures. Perhaps work crews identifying completed sections. Tiny reminders that every magnificent structure begins with ordinary workers carrying ordinary tools. Soon, another traveler appears. An elderly shepherd guides a flock of goats carefully along the mountainside. The animals seem completely unimpressed by the engineering marvel beneath their feet. Goats possess remarkable confidence, perhaps slightly too much confidence. The shepherd smiles as you approach. Messenger. Good afternoon. He steps aside, allowing Luna plenty of room. The goats reluctantly follow. One particularly stubborn animal pauses directly in the middle of the road. It studies you with complete seriousness. You suspect it may be judging your riding technique. After a long moment, it finally decides you are acceptable and wanders away. You continue upward with your dignity mostly intact. By late afternoon, clouds begin gathering over the distant peaks, nothing threatening. Soft gray clouds drifting lazily across an otherwise brilliant blue sky. They cast moving shadows across the hillsides. Sunlight and shade alternate gently across the landscape. The changing light transforms ordinary rocks into something almost magical. At the highest point of the pass stands a small stone monument dedicated to the builders of the road. Time has softened its carved letters. Moss grows gently between the cracks. Still, the monument stands proudly. You slow Luna to a walk. For a few quiet moments, you simply admire the view. The Roman Empire stretches in every direction. Roads disappear toward horizons you cannot quite see. Some lead to bustling cities, others to lonely frontier forts. Every one of them carries travelers with stories of their own. You realize that your message is only one among thousands moving through this vast network today. Yet each message matters. One missing letter, one delayed order, one forgotten report. Even small interruptions ripple outward across great distances. The descent begins gradually. Going downhill requires different skills. Luna carefully chooses each step. Loose gravel crunches softly beneath her hooves. You lean back just slightly, allowing her balance to remain comfortable. She clearly knows exactly what she is doing. Wise riders learn when not to interfere. Halfway down the mountain, you hear water long before you see it. A clear stream tumbles over smooth stones beside the road. Its cheerful sound fills the quiet valley. Nearby, travelers have built a simple resting place beneath several broad chestnut trees. You decide both you and Luna have earned another short break. She drinks eagerly from the cool stream. Sunlight sparkles across the moving water. Dragonflies skim gracefully above the surface. The peaceful scene invites stillness. You refill your water skin. The cold spring water tastes wonderfully refreshing after hours beneath the afternoon sun. Nearby, another traveler sits quietly repairing a leather sandal. He nods politely. No conversation follows. Some peaceful moments seem better shared through silence. You unwrap another piece of coarse bread from your saddlebag. A few slices of smoked meat remain. Simple food somehow tastes far better outdoors. Perhaps fresh air secretly seasons everything. The chestnut leaves rustle gently overhead. A squirrel darts along a nearby branch before disappearing into the forest. Time slows, not because the journey has ended, because rest forms part of every successful journey. Eventually, the lengthening shadows remind you that evening approaches. You tighten Luna's saddle once more. She seems perfectly ready to continue. Perhaps she was ready 5 minutes ago. Fresh horses rarely lack enthusiasm. The road widens again as the mountains gradually give way to gentler countryside. In the distance, faint columns of smoke rise from scattered villages preparing evening meals. The smell of burning oak drifts softly through the cooling air. Somewhere ahead lies tonight's stopping place. A welcoming roadside station, a warm meal, fresh straw. Another quiet evening among fellow travelers whose lives revolve around roads stretching farther than anyone could ride in a single lifetime. The sky begins turning shades of amber and rose. Luna continues her steady trot beneath the glowing sunset. Behind you, the mountains fade into soft blue silhouettes. Ahead, the next chapter of your journey waits patiently, just beyond the evening light. The last golden light of the afternoon lingers behind you as the mountains slowly surrender to gentler land. The air grows warmer again. Pine forests give way to rolling meadows. Small streams weave quietly through fields where cattle graze without the slightest concern for imperial schedules. Luna maintains her steady pace. She seems to understand that evening approaches, yet somehow never appears hurried. A good courier learns that speed alone does not complete a journey. Consistency does. Far ahead you notice the outline of another town, not large, not tiny, just the sort of provincial settlement that quietly keeps an empire functioning. Its tiled roofs glow orange beneath the setting sun. A low defensive wall surrounds the outer streets. Beyond it rises a modest temple, its marble columns catching the final rays of daylight. Thin ribbons of chimney smoke drift lazily into the calm evening sky. The smell reaches you before the buildings do. Fresh bread, roasted onions, wood smoke. Somewhere, someone is almost certainly preparing soup. Your stomach immediately decides this is excellent news. As you approach the main gate, 2 Roman guards stand watch beneath a stone archway. Their polished helmets reflect the fading sunlight. One notices the leather dispatch tube hanging from your shoulder. He nods once. Imperial courier. His companion steps aside without another question. Official business once again opens doors that remain closed to most travelers. Inside, the town hums with peaceful activity. Merchants begin packing away their goods after a long day. Children laugh while chasing one another across the forum. A woman fills clay jars at the public fountain. Nearby, an elderly man carefully feeds grain to a flock of noisy pigeons. Apparently, the pigeons have spent the entire day arguing and now require dinner before continuing tomorrow's debates. Some traditions truly never disappear. The streets are paved with carefully fitted stone. Rainwater drains neatly along shallow channels beside the road. Colorful awnings hang above market stalls selling woven baskets, olive oil, dried herbs, bronze lamps, pottery, sandals, and neatly folded wool cloth. The evening light paints everything with soft golden colors. For a brief moment, you almost forget you're working. Then the leather dispatch tube gently bumps against your shoulder. Duty politely reminds you why you're here. Your destination lies near the center of town, the local administrative office. Unlike grand government buildings in Rome, this one feels practical. Strong stone walls, heavy wooden doors. Simple but impressive. 2 clerks work beneath a covered entrance, organizing wax tablets into neat stacks. You dismount. Luna patiently lowers her head toward a nearby bucket of water. One clerk approaches. Courier? You present the sealed dispatch. He examines the wax carefully. No cracks, no damage. Exactly as expected. Without breaking the seal himself, he escorts you inside. The office feels wonderfully cool after the warmth outside. Shelves line every wall. Scrolls rest inside wooden cubbyholes. Bundles of official records stand tied with colored cords. Ink pots. Reed pens. Wax tablets. Maps. Everything has its place. Organization feels almost sacred here. A senior official soon appears. His gray hair suggests many years of service. He accepts the dispatch with both hands. Only after confirming the seal remains untouched does he finally break the wax. The sound is surprisingly soft. A tiny crack. One brief moment. Your responsibility ends exactly where his begins. He carefully unrolls the scroll. His eyes move steadily across the neat handwriting. You politely look elsewhere. Whatever the message contains is no longer your concern. The official smiles faintly. Right on time. Perhaps no compliment could please a messenger more. A younger clerk quickly begins preparing the reply. Fresh parchment, new wax. Another leather dispatch tube. The Empire is constantly speaking. Every message creates another. While waiting, you are invited into the courtyard. Several travelers already rest there. A physician returning from a nearby village. A merchant transporting fine glassware. A retired legionary visiting family farther south. Roads gather remarkable collections of people. Conversation begins naturally. The retired soldier asks about road conditions through the mountains. You mention the repairs to the retaining wall. He nods approvingly. The engineers never stop working. They can't. You smile. Neither can the couriers. Nearby, Luna receives fresh hay from a stable boy. She appears thoroughly satisfied with the arrangement. You suspect she could become close friends with anyone carrying a bucket of oats. A cook emerges carrying wooden bowls filled with vegetable stew, carrots, lentils, leeks, onions. The aroma alone feels wonderfully comforting after an entire afternoon on horseback. Fresh bread follows moments later, warm enough that steam still rises gently from the loaf. No one rushes. Meals in roadside stations seem to encourage calm conversation rather than hurried eating. Perhaps everyone understands another journey always waits tomorrow. The younger clerk finally approaches carrying a fresh leather dispatch tube. Bright red wax seals the opening. The Imperial emblem gleams clearly. Reply prepared. He records the exchange upon another wax tablet. You sign with a simple mark acknowledging receipt. History often depends upon very ordinary paperwork. The senior official offers one final instruction. This reaches the northern district tomorrow. You nod. Tomorrow. Another day. Another road. Another destination. Outside, dusk slowly settles across the town. Oil lamps appear one by one beneath shop awnings. Their gentle amber glow reflects from polished stone streets. The fountain continues splashing quietly in the center of the forum. Evening birds settle upon tiled rooftops. The bustle softens into peaceful routine. You lead Luna toward the town's official traveler's lodging. not luxurious, but comfortable. A clean stable, fresh straw, a simple room upstairs. After grooming Luna carefully, you remove her saddle and brush the dust from her coat. She nudges your shoulder gently. Perhaps gratitude. Perhaps another request for oats. You provide one of those things. The stable boy handles the other. Inside your room, the window overlooks the quiet street below. A gentle breeze carries distant laughter from a nearby tavern. Somewhere else, someone quietly plays a wooden flute. The melody drifts lazily through the evening air. You sit upon the edge of the bed and remove your boots. Your feet immediately express heartfelt appreciation. They have earned the opportunity. The day has been long, yet strangely peaceful. You think back across everything you've seen: mountain roads, stone bridges, busy markets, helpful strangers, faithful horses, endless roads connecting countless lives. Most people will never know the names of the couriers passing through their towns. Yet every governor, merchant, commander, and village official quietly depends upon riders like you. It is humble work, almost invisible. And somehow, that makes it feel even more meaningful. Outside, the final colors of sunset disappear beyond the rooftops. The stars begin appearing one by one above the Roman Empire. Tomorrow, before sunrise, another bell will ring. Another sealed message will wait. Another peaceful journey will begin. But for tonight, the road finally rests. And so do you. Before the first hint of sunrise reaches the rooftops, a bronze bell rings somewhere in the courtyard below. Its deep tone drifts gently through the quiet building, not loud enough to startle you, just steady enough to remind every traveler that another day has quietly begun. You open your eyes to a room still wrapped in cool blue shadows. Outside the small window, the stars are slowly fading. One by one, they surrender to the approaching dawn. The town remains mostly asleep. Only a few early workers have begun moving through the streets. A baker already tends his glowing oven. A pair of stable hands carry buckets across the courtyard. Somewhere nearby, a rooster announces the morning with tremendous confidence. Whether anyone requested his opinion remains uncertain. You stretch carefully. Yesterday's journey politely reminds your shoulders and legs that horseback travel uses muscles modern office chairs rarely prepare. Still, nothing aches too badly. The steady pace of the Roman roads has begun teaching your body its own quiet rhythm. You dress quickly. Fresh wool tunic, leather belt, travel cloak folded neatly over one shoulder. Your boots, still carrying a thin layer of mountain dust, wait patiently beside the bed. Outside, the cool morning air feels wonderfully refreshing. The eastern sky glows with soft shades of pink and pale gold. Mist hangs gently over nearby fields beyond the town wall. Oil lamps continue burning beneath several archways, though their warm light grows fainter with every passing minute. The stable greets you with familiar sounds. Horses quietly chewing hay, leather harnesses softly creaking, water splashing into stone troughs. Luna notices you immediately. She lifts her head from breakfast and gives a soft snort. Apparently she approves of beginning another journey. Or perhaps she simply expects more oats. The stable boy grins. She slept well. So did I. That's why she's smiling. You glance toward Luna. She does look unusually cheerful. Then again, breakfast has that effect on many living creatures. The stable boy finishes brushing her glossy coat while you carefully inspect the saddle. Every buckle remains secure. Every strap sits exactly where it should. A courier who ignores equipment rarely enjoys pleasant surprises later. The fresh dispatch tube hangs comfortably once more across your shoulder. Yesterday's message has already become someone else's responsibility. Today's message begins an entirely new chain of events. You still have no idea what the scroll contains. That mystery remains one of the quieter comforts of your profession. Knowing everything is not your task. Delivering everything is. Breakfast waits inside the traveler's hall. Warm barley porridge, fresh bread, honey, goat cheese, a handful of dried figs. Simple food. Good food. The cook pours warm herbal tea into a clay cup before you even ask. You'll want this. She is absolutely correct. Morning air may be refreshing, but warm tea possesses its own persuasive qualities. Several other travelers prepare for departure as well. The physician loads carefully wrapped medicines into a small cart. The merchant checks each crate of delicate glassware one final time. The retired legionary adjusts his walking staff before setting out toward his daughter's village. For a little while, everyone's journey overlaps. Soon, the roads will gently separate you once again. Outside the eastern gate, sunrise finally arrives. Golden light spills across the Roman road. The paving stones seem almost polished beneath the morning glow. Long shadows stretch behind every traveler. Birdsong fills the cool air. Luna steps confidently onto the highway. The familiar rhythm returns almost immediately. Clip, clop, clip, clop. Morning travel always feels different. The world appears fresh, quiet, hopeful. A light mist curls above nearby streams. Spider webs sparkle with tiny droplets of dew. Wildflowers slowly open toward the warming sun. Even the breeze seems gentler. Before long, the road follows a broad river, flowing peacefully through fertile farmland. Large water wheels turn steadily beside grain mills. Their slow wooden paddles lift water with dependable patience. Millers begin another day's work. Oxen pull wagons fill with sacks of wheat toward storage barns. Everything moves with calm purpose. The empire feeds itself one harvest at a time. You ride across another impressive stone bridge. This one is wider than yesterday's. Several merchants cross alongside you. One wagon carries amphorae filled with olive oil. Another transports brightly colored pottery packed carefully in straw. A third wagon contains cages full of noisy chickens. The chickens seem deeply offended by the entire journey. They express their opinions continuously. Luna flicks one ear toward them, then wisely chooses not to participate in the conversation. On the far side of the bridge, fishermen pull heavy nets from the river. Silver fish flash briefly in the morning sunlight before disappearing into woven baskets. Nearby, children help untangle ropes while laughing at something only they fully understand. Small moments like these seem to appear everywhere. Ordinary lives unfolding quietly beside extraordinary roads. As the morning continues, vineyards once again line the hillsides. Workers prune vines with practiced movements. Others inspect rows of ripening grapes. An elderly vineyard owner raises his broad hat politely as you pass. Safe journey. And a good harvest. He smiles. Couriers carry messages. Farmers carry seasons. Both depend upon time. The road gradually bends toward a large estate surrounded by stone walls. Elegant columns rise above carefully maintained gardens. Servants sweep the entrance while workers gather olives beneath ancient trees. The estate owner stands speaking with an accountant beside several wax tablets. Even here, paperwork quietly shapes the empire. Numbers, harvests, taxes, records. Someone, somewhere, always writes them down. A little farther ahead, you encounter a group of schoolchildren walking beside their teacher. Each carries a small wax tablet tucked beneath one arm. The teacher steps aside respectfully. The children watch with wide eyes as Luna trots past. One whispers excitedly, "An Imperial messenger." You cannot help smiling. For them you probably appear wonderfully mysterious. A rider carrying secret messages across distant lands. They never see the long hours, the dust, the sore muscles, or the surprisingly frequent conversations with stubborn goats. Perhaps some mysteries deserve to remain intact. By late morning, the countryside grows warmer. The mist has completely vanished. Larks sing high above the open fields. A gentle breeze carries the scent of fresh-cut hay across the road. Luna settles into an easy, comfortable pace. Neither of you feels rushed. The next relay station lies only a few hours away. There is plenty of time. You realize something quietly comforting. The Roman road no longer feels unfamiliar. Yesterday, every milestone seemed significant. Every turn required attention. Now, the rhythm feels almost natural. The road teaches patience. The horse teaches trust. The journey teaches both. Ahead, far beyond the next line of poplar trees, another milestone catches the sunlight. Another marker. Another quiet promise that the empire continues exactly where you expect it to. You gently pat Luna's neck. She continues forward with calm confidence. The road stretches endlessly before you. And somehow, that no longer feels intimidating at all. The morning sun climbs steadily higher as the Roman road carries you deeper into the heart of the empire. The cool freshness of dawn slowly gives way to gentle warmth. Long shadows shrink across the paving stones. The dew disappears from the grass beside the highway. Even the birds seem to change their songs as the day settles comfortably into its familiar rhythm. Luna maintains her graceful pace. Her ears flick forward whenever the road bends, as though she is quietly curious about what lies beyond the next rise. You begin trusting her instincts almost as much as your own eyes. Good horses notice things before riders do. Sometimes they smell distant rain. Sometimes they hear approaching wagons. Sometimes they simply know which path feels safest. Whatever the reason, Luna has earned your confidence. The countryside spreads peacefully in every direction. Golden wheat fields sway beneath the breeze. Olive trees shimmer softly under the brightening sun. Small vineyards climb gentle hillsides, while shepherds guide sheep through fresh green pastures. Everything appears calm, orderly, productive. The empire is enormous, yet mornings like this make it feel surprisingly personal. A farmer pauses from repairing a wooden fence. He watches you ride past. His young son stands beside him, holding a basket filled with apples. The boy waves enthusiastically. You raise a hand in return. His smile grows even wider. Perhaps someday he will tell his grandchildren about the Imperial messenger who passed through their village on a bright spring morning. Stories often begin with surprisingly ordinary moments. Farther ahead, the Roman road crosses a broad stretch of open farmland. Large ox-drawn plows carve neat lines through rich dark soil. Workers scatter seed with careful movements practiced over countless seasons. Above them, swallows dart through the clear blue sky hunting tiny insects. Nature and human effort work together with quiet harmony. Without farmers, there would be no cities. Without roads, the harvest could never reach them. The road gradually approaches a bustling crossroads. Here, several important highways meet before continuing toward different provinces. Stone signposts point travelers in every direction. Rome, Capua, Brundisium. Smaller towns branch away into the countryside. It feels almost like standing beside the flowing branches of a great river. Information, goods, travelers, and ideas all pass through places like this. A small shrine dedicated to Mercury, the Roman messenger god, stands beside the intersection. Fresh flowers decorate its stone base. Several travelers pause briefly before continuing. You dismount for only a moment. Not from superstition, simply from respect. After all, if anyone understands life on the road, Mercury probably has considerable experience. The tiny bronze statue seems almost to smile beneath the morning sunlight. Nearby, a merchant caravan prepares to continue eastward. 6 sturdy wagons stand loaded with woven cloth, amphorae of wine, bronze cookware, and barrels secured beneath heavy ropes. Guards ride alongside the caravan, carrying long spears. Merchants rarely travel alone on longer roads. Company offers both conversation and protection. The caravan leader notices your dispatch tube. Safe roads, courier. And prosperous trade. He laughs warmly. A prosperous road helps us both. He is absolutely right. Well-maintained roads make merchants wealthier, couriers faster, farmers more successful. Even ordinary travelers sleep more peacefully. The road belongs to everyone. You continue onward as the crossroads slowly disappears behind you. The highway now follows a line of tall poplar trees. Their leaves shimmer silver whenever the breeze passes through them. The soft rustling creates a soothing background melody that blends beautifully with Luna's steady hoofbeats. Clip, clop, clip, clop. The rhythm has become so familiar that your breathing naturally matches it. Somewhere ahead, bells begin ringing softly. Not warning bells, gentle bells. Soon you discover their source. A herd of cattle crosses the road under the careful guidance of 2 young herders. Each animal wears a small bronze bell around its neck. Together they create an oddly peaceful orchestra. Luna slows immediately without needing instruction. Patience often saves more time than rushing. The herders apologize politely. There is no hurry, you reply. After all, the cows clearly believe the entire Roman Empire can wait another minute. Once the herd finally wanders into the next pasture, the road becomes quiet again. You notice another familiar feature beside the highway, a public watering basin carved directly into solid stone. Crystal clear spring water pours continuously from a sculpted lion's mouth. Travelers stop briefly to refill water skins. Birds gather nearby without fear. Luna drinks happily while you splash cool water across your face. The refreshing sensation immediately washes away the warmth of the late morning sun. Several sparrows flutter around the basin, collecting tiny drops of water. Even the smallest travelers benefit from Roman engineering. As noon approaches, you ride through a grove of enormous oak trees. Their broad branches create deep pools of shade across the road. The sudden coolness feels wonderfully comforting. Sunlight filters gently through countless green leaves, dancing across the paving stones like moving patterns woven from gold. The quiet forest seems almost magical. Only birdsong and distant woodpeckers interrupt the peaceful silence. Near the center of the grove, an elderly woman sits weaving baskets beneath one of the oldest trees. Finished baskets surround her like neat little towers. She smiles kindly as you pass. Without speaking, she offers you a fresh apple. You accept gratefully. Its crisp sweetness tastes better than any feast. Sometimes the simplest gifts remain longest in memory. Leaving the oak grove behind, the landscape opens once more. Ahead you notice the gleaming rooftops of another roadside relay station. Unlike the larger towns you visited, this station exists entirely for movement. Fresh horses wait inside fenced paddocks. Stable workers already carry buckets of water toward the entrance. A courier leaving in the opposite direction rides through the gate just as you arrive. For one brief moment, your paths cross. Neither of you knows the contents of the other's dispatch. Neither of you needs to. You simply exchange a nod. Two travelers sharing the same endless road. Inside the station, familiar routines begin again. The clerk checks your travel token. The wax seal remains perfect. The dispatch changes hands only long enough for official records. Fresh water is offered. Luna receives another careful brushing. One stable hand quietly compliments her excellent condition. You secretly agree. She has carried you beautifully. While eating a simple midday meal of bread, cheese, olives, and figs beneath a shaded courtyard, you watch other couriers arriving and departing with calm efficiency. No unnecessary excitement, no dramatic urgency. Just quiet professionalism repeated hundreds of times across the empire. The system works because everyone performs their small role faithfully. You realize something that had never occurred to you before. History often remembers emperors, generals, great battles, magnificent temples. Yet empires survive through countless ordinary people doing ordinary work exceptionally well. Road builders, stable boys, clerks, farmers, messengers. Without them, none of the famous names would matter for very long. The station master returns your freshly recorded travel documents. The road ahead is clear. You smile. That may be the most encouraging sentence a courier can hear. You tighten Luna's reins gently. The great Roman road stretches toward another distant horizon. And together, horse and messenger continue forward beneath the bright midday sky.